Hello everyone, today is 11th of August. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Guys, in today's video, we will be taking up all the important articles from the Hindu newspaper and the good articles from the Indian Express explained page. Guys, please keep on supporting us. Please do like our initiative if you like the analysis and please do subscribe to our channel. Now taking up the overview of the articles that we are going to take up. First of all, on to the Indian Express explained page. Why a mix of two different vaccines? Why not? This particular thing has been provided because the ICMR has recently carried a study onto the people into the Uttar Pradesh who were given the two different doses of vaccine, one Covishield and one Covaxin. However, peer review has not happened, so nothing important into this article. Now guys, this second article, it is talking about the inland waterways, and into this particular direction the inland vessel bill is there. We will see what has happened. Then guys, the issues in the Amazon Flipkart spat, nothing important here with respect to the UPSC. Now guys, going into the Hindu, this is the page number 1. This particular article talks about the 127 constitutional amendment bill. We'll see into the detail what has happened, why it has happened. Then guys, this particular article, it is talking about a Supreme Court direction in order to purge the electoral system. Guys, a very good article. Many of the recommendations we'll be seeing along with the background. Then guys, onto the city page, the rising number of cases and the basically regional issues etc. has been there. However, onto this particular page we can see that a tele-robotic ultrasound system has been developed. What it is, how we can utilize, we will see this thing. Then guys, further moving on onto the city page, the regional issues and news has been carried. Nothing very much important into this particular direction. Then guys, further we reach to the editorial page, and onto the editorial page, the construct behind the shining UP card. Fine, why, how the present government into the Uttar Pradesh, it is not thinking about the people. Such kind of things are there. Many of the political direct references are there which are not important for UPSC. Then guys, this article talks about the resiliency into the global trade. A very good article. We will see that what has happened. Then guys, this particular article talks about the India's chairing of the open debate at the United Nations Security Council. Then guys, this article talks about filling the vacancies into the tribunals. We will be reading all of them. Then guys, this article talks about improving the civil registration system. We have seen over the so many of the days that the underestimation of the death has been there. Fine, why underestimation, and all such kind of things have been provided. Then guys, this article talks about the Adivasiyat, the RSS stated objective of the Hindu Rashtra, etc. Nothing much important is there. Fine guys, then move this particular article. It talks that we need to create the ecosystem into the India for the business and all such kind of things. Then guys, here we can see that the Prime Minister is launching the Ujjwala 2.0. We will see that what was Ujjwala 1, how it will be different from 2.0 and all such kind of things. Then guys, further moving, here we can see that the Supreme Court has provided that the permission of High Court is necessary to remove the cases against the lawmakers. We will see this thing. Then guys, here we can see that India is asking the people who are into the Afghanistan, then they are needed to be making arrangements for their evacuation as early as possible. Then guys, here we can see that the Pegasus issue etc. is there. Fine, the protest into the Rajya Sabha, they are continuing. Fine, the political articles, nothing very much important. Then guys, here we can see that no oxygen death, nothing important. However, this particular article, it talks about the student exposed to the second hand smoke. We will see what is there. Then guys, this article talks about the census activities that have been put on hold. We will be seeing it. Then on to the world page guys, here we can see that basically evolutionary issues etc. have been there. Much of the important fundamental things are not there. Then guys, onto the business page, we can see that here the MFIs, they are urging the RBI to drop the urban rural difference for the borrowers. We will see that what has happened. Then guys, other things with respect to the investment, corporate profits etc. not very much important. So guys, this is the sports page and these are the important articles that we are going to take up today. And now let's take up the analysis one by one. Now friends, starting up with the today's GS quote. So today we will be taking a quote from Brian Tracy. He says, courage combined with integrity is the foundation of character. Now guys, when we talk about character, it is the outlook of a person with respect to the morality, ethics and the conduct. Now guys, when we talk about one's character, it can simply be described as an outcome of the courage that a person has. Now courage in terms of standing against the injustices, standing against the things which are not going in sync with the moral attributes, and the integrity is needed in order to bring a kind of a coherence between what a person thinks, what a person preaches and what a person does. So courage gives a strength and the integrity gives a kind of a coherence to one's particular character. So therefore these are the two important pillars. Guys, we can utilize this particular understanding into the GS paper number 4, ethics, integrity and aptitude. So that is all guys for the today's GS quote, and now let's take the articles one by one. Now friends, taking up the first article, this article has been taken up from the Indian Express, the explained section, and this article will be important under the GS paper number 3, the infrastructure and the infrastructural upgradation reforms that have been taken by the government of India. Now guys, into this particular article, we will discuss the Inland Vessel Bill 2021, which has been brought into the present session of the parliament, and it will be replacing an old colonial era legislation, that is the Inland Vessel Act of 1917. Now guys, this particular new bill that we are talking about, it will consolidate the rules, regulations, laws, etc. with respect to the inland shipping, the movement of vessels onto the inland waterways, and the code of conduct for them. Now guys, first of all, when we talk about the inland waterways, we have seen that into the last few years, government aims to promote the inland waterways. It is because of the three important reasons. Number one reason is that guys, it is economically more cheaper. Now into this particular direction, we can see a government study that was conducted by the RITES. According to this study, 1 liter of fuel moves 24 ton on 24 ton per kilometer onto the road. 1 liter of fuel moves 95 ton per kilometer onto the rail, and 215 tons per kilometer onto the inland waterways. So economically it is cheaper. Then guys, it also has one indirect implication also. See, India aims to become an exporting nation. When we want to become an exporting nation, we want that our goods, they need to be economically competitive when they reach the other countries. However guys, the final product of the goods, it also takes into the account the raw material and the internal transit that has been there into the country. And if the internal transit will be very much expensive, obviously the final price of the good will be more, and it will not be economically competitive. Now guys, when we see the transit within our country is majorly through the roads, it is majorly through the highways, and we have seen that highways are economically very expensive. So therefore the inland waterways will be bringing an economical benefit. Then guys, the second benefit that it will bring, it will be the environmental benefit, because as much efficiency is there onto the inland waterways, less of the fuel has to be used. And guys, it will not be environmentally sustainable for us, it will also be helping India to reach to meet the Paris climate goals that were taken in 2015. Fine. Then guys, thirdly, what happens, it will also be helping, because guys, the inland waterways, inland vessels, waterway vessels, when the cargo will move from it, it will use less fuel, and by that the current account deficit of the government can also be reduced. So inland waterways are a very good initiative. Now guys, into the direction of inland waterways, there is already the Inland Waterway Authority of India under the Ministry of Shipping, fine, which is developing the inland waterways, fine, by taking the assistance from the World Bank, and it is basically the nodal agency over such kind of thing. Now in 2016, government has also notified 111 inland waterways, fine, as the national waterways of India under the National Waterways Act of 2016. Fine. Earlier guys, there were the 6 national waterways, then 105 more national waterways were notified, and today we have 111 national waterways. Fine. Now guys, out of these 111, right now approximately 13 of the national waterways are functional. National waterway number 1, it is from Haldia to Allahabad, and Ganga, Bhagirathi, Hooghly river it covers, and it is the longest national waterway, also nearly 1620 kilometers. Then the second is the national waterway number 2 onto the Brahmaputra river. Then national waterway number 3, which is called as the West Coast Canal. Fine. Then the national waterway number 4, which is onto the Krishna river. National waterway number 10 onto the Amba river, and likewise. Fine guys, you can just pause and you can see that which waterway is onto the which particular river. Now friends, this 2021 Inland Vessel Bill will be replacing the 1917 Inland Vessel Act. Now this particular act was having the restrictive provisions with respect to the movement of mechanically propelled vessels. The jurisdictions of the different state government was there, which was to be taken, the permissions were to be taken by the different state governments when we were passing through a different states, and many a times it led to a tedious kind of procedures. Now guys, what has been provided here a kind of a standard, uniform standard has been created. Moreover, it has been provided that the center has been given the power that it will frame the classification, standard of design, construction, the crew accommodation, etc. Fine. There will be also a portal that will be having maintained by the central government, and all the movement of the ships, and the identities are needed to be logged at this central database. So basically all the powers, clearances, permissions with respect to the inland vessels have been given to the center. So this particular reform has been there. You don't need to go into the line by line provisions, not very much important. Now guys, this particular law also provides that if any particular ship or vessel is into a distress, and if it sends an SOS signal, then guys the nearby ship has to approach to this particular situation. So this particular thing has been made mandatory now onto the international shipping, onto the international seas. This particular norm has been there. It has been implemented in India also. Further guys, it has been provided that a fund will be maintained which will be used for the emergency preparedness. Moreover, the norms with respect to the pollution has also been laid out. What types of things could, pollutants or discharge could be made into the rivers, what is not allowed, all such kind of things are there, and how the navigation into the India could be boosted. Such kind of will be such kind of steps will also be taken by using this particular fund. So creation of a fund, laying down of the norms by the center, norms with respect to attending the distress call, fine, and making a kind of a central database, all are the features of this particular bill. And guys, it will be surely be helping in boosting the inland waterway trade into the India. So that is all about this particular article. I hope you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article taken up from the Hindu newspaper, page number 1, and it talks about the 127 constitutional amendment bill that has been taken up into the parliament. And this particular bill guys has been cleared into the Lok Sabha. Now it will be moving to the Rajya Sabha. Now guys, first of all, let's understand that what this particular bill aims to do. But before that, we will be going into the background. Guys, government in 2018 came out with the 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Now, this 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act inserted the article number 338B and 342A into the Constitution of India, and it talked about the National Commission for the Backward Classes, which was given the constitutional status. Now guys, into this particular act, one more clause was there, and the clause provided that the President of India, in consultation with the governors, will specify the socially and educationally backward classes. And into this particular thing guys, what happened indirectly, the power of the state governments was taken away with respect to coming out with the OBC list. The such power was only into the hand of the president. And this thing went. Now guys, what had happened after the 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act, eventually into the Maharashtra government gave the reservation to the Maratha community, and this particular thing was challenged. Number one, it was said that it has breached the Indira Sahani judgment, into which it was said that the reservations cannot be more than 50%. Secondly, it was said that such a power is not there with the state government anyhow. Because of the 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act, the power lies only into the hand of the central government and the president. Now guys, the Supreme Court interpreted that particular thing and said that such a thing is right, and therefore the Supreme Court in May 2021 into the Maratha reservation provided that only the center had the power, that it can provide that who will be the OBCs into a particular state. Now guys, this 127 Constitutional Amendment Bill, it is just to reverse the Supreme Court judgment which has given into the May 2021. And by this particular bill, what is happening now? Now the power is being given back again to the state government, that they can identify the OBCs that are the socially and educationally backward. So it is essentially to reverse the Supreme Court judgment. Fine. Now guys, here the opposition parties, they have again slammed the government. They had said that already when this particular 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act was being passed in 2018, we said that we need to discuss this particular thing, but you did not discuss it, and now the problem has come. So this particular thing has been there. So this particular bill has been passed. Moreover guys, into the discussion it has also been said that now we need to reconsider the 50% cap that was imposed into the Indira Sahani judgment. It has been said that the 50% limit now needs to be revised because the socio-economic circumstances have been changed. Moreover, it has been provided that into the Indira Sahani judgment, the Supreme Court itself provided that it could be revised into the extraordinary situation, and now the extraordinary situation has come. So this particular appeal has also been made. So guys, this is all the subject matter of this particular Amendment Act. You don't need to go much more deeper than that. And guys, into the coming days, Obviously the editorials will also be coming onto this line, so we will see that also. So that is all guys about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article, it is important for our GS paper number 2, the electoral reforms. Fine. Now what has happened, the Supreme Court has given some of the directions in order to clean the politics. Now when we talk about guys the politics in India, we have seen the distinct criminalization of politics, and the criminalization of politics can be seen from the fact that guys, according to the Association of Democratic Reforms, it has been provided 43% of the MPs into the latest Lok Sabha, they have the criminal charges, they have the criminal background. Fine. Moreover guys, when we talk about the recently conducted elections into the Bihar, we can see that as many as 70% of the candidates which have been analyzed from two of the political parties, that is the BJP and RJD, they had the criminal cases against them. Fine. So basically criminalization of politics has been very much rampant. Now the Supreme Court has said that the common people are frustrated by this criminalization of politics, and now the serious steps are to be taken. First of all, the court has directed that all the political parties, they need to publish the criminal history of a person that they had fielded within the 48 hours of the selection of a candidate. So if a political party XYZ is giving a ticket to any candidate, and if the candidate is having the criminal background, all the details are to be provided. Now guys, already in February 2020 also the same judgment was given by the Supreme Court, but at that time it was said that it has not been abided. So therefore now a specific deadline of the 48 hours has been imposed by the Supreme Court. Moreover guys, it was seen that when this particular judgment was given in 2020, the political parties have done three things. A, they have not altogether published such kind of things onto the social media or to the newspaper. B, what they have done, they have published such kind of information onto such kind of newspapers who nobody reads, into obscure newspapers and into a very small column somewhere into the middle or down the line they have written. Then thirdly, what has happened, they had not provided very clear details in, but by using some artistic expression etc, they have provided such kind of information. Now guys, the Supreme Court has provided very clearly, number one, within 48 hours this particular information is to be published. Now secondly, it has been provided that such kind of information are to be published onto the homepage of the websites of the political parties under a caption candidate with the criminal antecedent, so you cannot now subvert this particular thing. So this is one thing that has happened. Secondly guys, it has also basically the Supreme Court has also provided that the Election Commission needs to take an important role into this particular direction, and a dedicated mobile app is needed to be launched for the voters so that they can get the details of the candidates with the criminal history by the touch of a button. Moreover, it has also been provided that the election commission, it needs to form a separate cell to monitor the political parties whether they are complying with the judgment of the Supreme Court, the judgment 48 hours, and publishing the information onto the website. So a special cell is also needed to be created. Further guys, the Supreme Court has also provided one very important thing. Now see guys, we have seen that the people with the criminal background, they are fielded, and when these people win, the government, it used the section number 321 of the CRPC. Now section 321 of CRPC provides that if any person is there onto which the criminal charges are there, then by using this particular section the charges can be withdrawn, and many a times we have seen that the charges from MPs and MLAs have been withdrawn by using the section 321. So into this particular direction, the Supreme Court has provided that if a criminal case against an MP or MLA is to be withdrawn, then guys, the consent of the state high court is very much necessary. Only after they give the permission, the case could be withdrawn. So this is one very important thing that has come. Moreover, the Supreme Court has also provided that a special bench needs to be created, which will monitor the progress of investigation and trial of the criminal cases which have been imposed onto the politicians. So this thing has been provided. Further, it has also been provided that there needs to be a expeditious disposal of the cases onto the politicians. It has also been provided that the officers who are presiding over these particular cases, fine, now many times the special courts or the CBI courts are constituted who hear into these cases, but many times it has been seen that the presiding officers, they are transferred. So it has been provided that such kind of transfer will not be there. And then finally, it has been provided that the agencies such as the CBI, Enforcement Directorate, etc., when they are investigating the cases onto the MPs and MLAs, within a very steadfast manner, they need to provide the report, and they need to make sure that a detailed report is being filed and not just a sketchy kind of account is being filed. So all these kind of things have been provided into this particular article. So guys, a very expansive kind of electoral reform has been suggested by Supreme Court. You please can utilize directly into your answers. So that is all about this article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now friends, taking up this next article. So this article has been taken up from the Hindu newspaper, and it talks about the Ujjwala 2.0, which is being launched today by the Prime Minister. Now guys, the Ujjwala 2.0, basically this scheme will be important for our GS paper number 2, the reforms that have been taken by government to bring the social justice. Now guys, first of all, before going into the Ujjwala 2.0, we will see what is Ujjwala 1. Now the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, it was launched in 2016 and was implemented by the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas as well as by the oil marketing companies. Now within this particular scheme, it was provided that 5 crore below the poverty line households will be provided the free LPG connections before 2019, and these 5 crore LPG target has been achieved. Further guys, into this particular scheme, the financial support of 1600 rupees each LPG connection to each BPL household was given. Now guys, further it has been there that the identification of the beneficiaries for the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana was done through the socio-economic caste census, and if the people, their name is not within the socio-economic caste census, then guys, they were identified from the 7 categories, that is all the SC ST households, they will be given who are the beneficiaries of the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, they will automatically be given the benefit. The people who are covered under the Antyodaya Anna Yojana, they will be given. Forest dwellers, most backward classes, T and XT garden tribes, people residing in islands and people residing in river island, they will be given the connection. So this is about the Ujjwala Yojana. Now guys, the 2.0 version, it is oriented towards the migrant workers. Now the migrant workers, when they go to the other states, they don't have the residential proof, and the residential proof is a necessary condition in availing the gas connection. So it has been provided that the now migrant workers, they not need to give any kind of address proof. Rather, when they give a kind of a self declaration of their residential address, they can get the gas connection. So this is a kind of a reform that has taken. Now basically guys, we have seen that over the past few days and months, the Supreme Court has also lashed the central government that you had not taken enough of the steps to address the problems of the migrant workers. So into this particular direction, it is an important thing. Moreover guys, it also shows a kind of a reorientation that is coming into the governance, where now the trust based governance is being taken because the self certification shows that particular theme. So that is all about this particular article guys. I hope you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article taken up from the Hindu newspaper, and it is important for our GS paper number 3, the themes under the economic recovery. Now guys, it has been provided into this particular article that the international cooperation is always needed for the economic resurgence. Now also the economic cooperation is needed. However, with the coming of COVID, we have seen that rather than the economic cooperation, rather than the globalization, a deglobalization has begun. Now guys, number one, the deglobalization is a process when the countries, they reduce the cooperation, when they try to they reduce the level of cooperation with each other. Now we have seen that with the COVID-19 pandemic, the world economy has shrunk by 4.4%, the global trade has been shrunk by 5.3%, and nearly 75 million job losses have been there. Because of this particular thing, what has happened, the countries, they had come out with the protectionist measures. They are guarding their own industries, they are imposing the restrictions onto the foreign capital and all such kind of things. And into this protectionist kind of thing, what has happened, the trade openness etc has gone down, and this is actually very problematic thing. So guys, we rather need to enhance more and more cooperation. When we talk about the guys, the India's GDP, there have been the contraction of 7.3%, which has been provided by the National Statistical Office. Moreover, it has been provided that the 10 million jobs have been lost, and this data has been provided by the CMI, that is the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. Now, as there is a socio-economic contraction and job losses, we have also taken up a kind of a protectionist approach. You might have heard about the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Now, though we don't directly call it as an act of protectionism, we call it as a self-sufficiency, but it has been lashed. If you follow our newspaper analysis, few days back, guys, we have seen that the UK India Business Council also had said that the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan is nothing but a protectionism. You are guarding your industries, you are giving incentives to your industries, and in a way, the foreign capital, foreign industries, they are being indebted. So this particular thing has been there. Now guys, it is provided that actually when we see the past experiences, it has been seen that whenever there are some of the historical ruptures, there are some of the historical troubles, there are the new global links that have been created, and by these new global links, even international cooperation has been enhanced. There are certain examples that we can see. Now, the Second World War, we see that, guys, it was a crisis, but after the Second World War, many of the multilateral institutions such as the United Nations was created, the Bretton Woods institutions such as the World Bank, IMF were created, the International Trade Organization were created, and it helped in enhancing the international cooperation. After that, guys, we have seen that the General Agreement on Tariff and Trade was also created after the 1947. It has helped to reduce the trade barriers. After that, guys, we have seen that into the 1970s, there was the oil shock, there was the oil crisis that was going on. And into this particular aftermath, the International Energy Agency was created to manage the supply disruptions into the oil, which had further enhanced the cooperation. Then, guys, when we talk about the financial crisis of 2008, what happened? The G20 Leaders Summit was created into this particular background. Now, this G20 Leaders Summit, it was a kind of an elevation or upgradation from the earlier G20, because into the earlier G20, finance ministers used to meet, and guys, by this high level upgradation into the G20, more cooperation has come. So therefore, there are the hopes that a kind of a optimism will be coming into the post-COVID world also, which will be enhancing the international cooperation, and at the end of the day, international cooperation is needed to enhance the trade. Guys, it has been provided that when we talk about the present times, the global supply chains that have been dormant from very long time, they might now be revived into the post-COVID era. Fine. After that, it has been provided that it is now expected that the disputes which are there into the World Trade Organization, these disputes will be stitched up, a compromise will be achieved by the members, because they want to enhance the trade, they want to undo the disruption that has happened. Further, guys, it has been provided that the mutually beneficial trade agreements that will seek the deeper economic integration, they will be entered at the bilateral as well as regional levels. And then, guys, then further it has also been provided that the business will also aim to harness the data. Now the data's role, data's importance has become even more important, because many of the things had come online. So business will more harness and venture onto the data, and the data corporations will also be there. Then, guys, further it has been provided that there is the rapid growth of the e-commerce, and the virtual world needs new skill from the workforce. The skills into the computation, into the IT skills, etc. are needed. So into this particular thing also, there will be the focus on upgrading the workers onto the new line. So new agreements onto this thing also are to be signed. So therefore, guys, it has been provided that now we need to look forward onto the cooperation, and we need to build an ecosystem that can incentivize the value added manufacturing. We need to go into such kind of ventures where the new age skills can be built into the people. And further, guys, a timely stimulus also needs to be given to the MSMEs, so that whatever disruptions have been there, disruptions can be rectified, and after that the MSMEs can participate into the economic activities. Because, guys, anyhow, after the COVID-19, international cooperation will be coming, export will increase, the integration will increase, so that MSMEs can participate into that particular race. Today the MSMEs are needed to be safeguarded, they are needed to be given a kind of a stimulus. So guys, all these are the hopes, or all this is the thing which have been provided into this particular article. So that is all about this particular article, friends. I hope you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article, it talks about the recent issue that we have also taken already. that into the tribunals we see large number of vacancies are there, and the Supreme Court has lashed out onto the central government that you are not filling the vacancies into the tribunals. The Supreme Court has asked the central government that whether you are thinking to altogether close these tribunals, because as you are not filling the vacancies, it simply means that you are not serious in running the tribunals. Guys, when we talk about the tribunals, tribunals can simply be defined as the quasi judicial bodies which are given the mandate to deal with the specific class of cases. For example, the National Green Tribunal deals with the environment related cases. So the tribunals have a specific genre of cases. Guys, the tribunals have been talked into the article number 323A and the article number 323B of the Indian Constitution. Now, both of these articles were added after the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. The article number 323A provides for the administrative tribunals that could be created, and article 323B provides for the tribunals for any other purpose. Now guys, the parliament can come and by an act can notify any particular tribunal. So many of the tribunals are there, and into these particular tribunals more than 240 vacancies are there. So how these tribunals will be working? Many times the presiding officers are not there into the tribunals. So guys, it has been provided that you have reserved the specific case for the tribunal, and as they have reserved into the tribunal, the people who are basically the litigants or the people who are facing such kind of cases, they cannot go to the mainstream judiciary. Secondly, as the tribunals are not having working at the efficiency, these cases are not disposed of, the backpile of the cases is increasing, and at the end of the day, citizens right to speedy justice is not being given. So it has been provided that the vacancies are needed to be filled up soon. Moreover, it has also been provided that there are many of the vacancies into the High Court. 455 vacancies are there onto the High Court as of August 1. Guys, of the actual strength, the sanction strength of the High Court is 1080, and out of this 455 vacancies are there. Moreover, we have seen, guys, just yesterday that the Delhi High Court, it will be working at less than the 50% of the capacity into the week's time. So these kind of vacancies are also to be filled up. Many a times, guys, it has been provided by the Supreme Court that the recommendations have been sent to the executive, the names have been sent to them, but the center has not taken any decision. So therefore, such kind of reminders have been there. So the Supreme Court has now lashed onto the center that the agencies such as the Intelligence Bureau, etc., when they are vetting the names of the candidates who have been suggested to be appointed, their vetting needs to be done fast. Center needs to take the decision very fastly because it is the matter of the speedy justice. So that is all, guys, which has been provided into this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article talks about the United Nations Security Council open debate that has happened onto the maritime security. Now this particular debate was chaired by the Indian Prime Minister, and guys, yesterday already into the 10th of August, yesterday's newspaper analysis, at this particular timestamp, we have seen that what has been done onto this particular open debate. We have seen that the India had came out with the 5 principal framework. Number 1, to remove the barriers onto the maritime trade. Number 2, maritime disputes need to be resolved peacefully. Number 3, countries jointly need to tackle the maritime threats from the non-state actors, natural disasters. Fourthly, the maritime environment and marine resources are needed to be conserved. And fifthly, the responsible maritime connectivity is needed to be there. So this 5 theme framework has been provided by the India already. We have seen yesterday, and the day before yesterday also we have seen this UNSC thing which has been happened there. Now guys, this particular article is not providing anything new apart from this what we have already done yesterday. If you have not seen, guys, you can see at this particular timestamp. Into this particular article, guys, just one thing has been provided, that if we see today onto the maritime domain, there are many disputes into the Black Sea, into the Kerch Strait, into the Sea of Azov, into the South China Sea. There are many of the disputes. They need to learn from the India's approach. They need to learn from the 5 framework agenda of the India, that they need to solve the maritime disputes and the barriers are needed to be reduced. So that is just what has been provided here. Apart from that, nothing is there. Fine. So that is all about this particular article, guys. I hope you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now friends, this particular article, it pertains to some of the data that has been provided with respect to the health of the children, and it will be important under the GS paper number 2, social justice, the theme of health. Now, guys, according to the most reputed health journal, Lancet had provided that now the lifestyle disease have become very much prominent. Into the lifestyle disease, the cardiovascular disease, etc., are there. And guys, today we see that as part of a lifestyle disease, the people are getting the cancer and respiratory diseases because of the kind of wrong choices, wrong patterns, and into these particular things, smoking leads to many of the lifestyle diseases. Now, guys, here what has happened, the Global Youth Tobacco Survey 4 has been released by the Health Ministry. Number one, this particular survey was first of all done by the International Institute of Population Sciences (IIPS) under the aegis of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. According to this particular survey, it has been said that the 29% of the students in India, they are exposed to the second-hand smoke or the passive smoke. Now, the second-hand smoke means that if a person is smoking, fine, he had exhaled the smoke, I will inhale it, so I am having the second-hand smoke. So 29% of the students are exposed by the second-hand smoke. Who said it? Global Youth Tobacco Survey GTYS 4, released by the Ministry of Health. Now, guys, into this particular thing, further it has been provided that over the years there is some kind of improvement. A 42% decline into the tobacco use among the 13 to 15-year-old school children has been seen in last 10 years. That is a good thing. However, at the same time, guys, we see that the still large number of students, they consume the tobacco products. It has been said that among the boys the tobacco consumption is more, and into the states of Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, it is the high, and it is lowest into the Himachal Pradesh and Karnataka. So these are some of the trends. Further, guys, it has been provided that the median age of consuming the tobacco and tobacco products, it is coming down. We can see that the mean age for the initiation of cigarette is 11.5 years, for BD it is 10.5 years, and for the smokeless tobacco it is 9.9 years. In such a nascent and tender age, the students, they consume the tobacco products. So therefore, guys, it has been provided that the role of teacher is very much crucial in creating the awareness among the children, as well as into the parents also. There is a special responsibility that they need to sensitize their children that why this particular thing is very much bad and how they can deter such kind of urges of smoking, etc. So that is all, guys, which has been provided. Guys, this particular data we can directly utilize into our answers. Please do use it. So that is all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article, just a kind of a reference we can utilize when we talk about the innovations that has happened into the COVID-19. So, guys, here the IIT Delhi and the AIIMS, they had developed a tele-robotic ultrasound system. Now, we have seen that into the COVID-19, the safe distancing was to be followed. Now, guys, the ultrasound is a non-intrusive mechanism which is conducted onto the people, and into the ultrasound, the person who is conducting the ultrasound, he needs to stand with the person, and both of them are exposed to the transmission of the COVID-19 virus. So, therefore, a tele-robotic arm has been created, and this tele-robotic arm will be conducting the ultrasound of the people without the presence of a actual human or an actual staff. It will save both the person who is going the ultrasound from the health professional, because, guys, health professionals most of the times they are exposed in the COVID and all such kind of things, and even the health professional will be saved to be exposed from the person. So this is the thing which has happened. Apart from this, guys, you don't need to go into the further nitty-gritties. Just as an example, if somewhere comes, we can use it. So that is all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article, it is a kind of an evolutionary thing that has happened. Guys, what has been there, the microfinance institutions, they had requested the Reserve Bank of India that the urban rural difference for the borrowers is needed to be dropped. Now, guys, when we talk about the microfinance is a small loan that is given to the people for meeting their working capital requirements, for assisting their business requirements, etc. Now, guys, the microfinance loans, they had helped the people into their day-to-day business running. Now, as per the present norms of the RBI, it has been provided that for the microfinance, there is a income limit, 2 lakh rupees per annum onto the urban households and 1.5 lakh rupees onto the rural households. Fine. Now, what has happened? The microfinance lenders, they have urged the Reserve Bank of India that you need to remove this particular kind of distortion, and a 2 lakh rupees rupees uniform limit needs to be there, because guys, into the rural areas there are many of the people who are not given the microfinance credit because their income is more than 1.5 lakh rupees. So it has been said that the 2 lakh rupees limit commonly needs to be there. However, the Reserve Bank of India had not taken a decision onto this thing. So guys, this is just what has happened into this particular article. So that is all about this particular article. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article provides that the census activities, they have been put on off due to the pandemic, because guys, we have seen that into the pandemic the household surveys etc. are not possible. Social distancing has to be followed, so all these particular kind of activities have been suspended. Fine guys. Now guys, when we talk about the census, the 2021 census was to be held, and it was a different census in many of the ways. Number one, this census was to be conducted into the 18 languages out of the 22 scheduled 22 languages that are there into the schedule number 8, as well as into the English. Last census, that is a census of 2011, it was held into the 16 languages out of the 22 languages that have been provided into the 8th schedule and into the English. So guys, in terms of language, the census 2021 is very much diverse. Then guys, into this particular census, there is also a third gender that will be added. Fine. Further, it has been provided, guys, this is the first time into the history of the census that the data is proposed to be collected through a mobile app by the enumerators. Fine. So this thing will be there. Moreover, the data will be provided by the end of the 2024-2025. Is it clear? So guys, over the 8-10 years the reports are published. Even when we talk about the 2011 census, the data set onto the migration has been published very recently. Fine, just 2 years back it has been published. So guys, the census 2021 activities have been put on a hold due to the pandemic. That is one thing. Now guys, when we talk about the census is conducted under the Census Act of 1948, and into this particular Census Act, guys, it has been provided that the caste wise census for the SCs and the STs will be collected. Now guys, there are also the demands. Last few days we have seen that the specific caste based census also needed to be held, but guys, that thing will not be held, and the reply has been given by the government into the parliament. So this is all with respect to the census. However guys, nothing much important is there into the article itself. So that is all guys about the today's newspaper analysis. Guys, I believe that you are liking our initiative. Please do support our initiative. Thank you so much.